Night live from the Cloudy Sky Fantasy Football Show. Game week 35, doubling up again. And we are looking for some players who might play twice in consecutive weeks. Because as a lot of people have noticed, last weekend there was quite a bit of rotation for those sides that are playing in Europe. The same sides will be playing in Europe again next week. And then the following week, so you'll see on the screen that Crystal Palace play 4 times between now and the end of next midweek. Is that following those games is the FA Cup semi-finals for Crystal Palace, who play Aston Villa, and Nottingham Forest, who play Manchester City. So for this weekend, we're going to have a look and see whether there's some moves to be made. We've got some transfer numbers, thanks to Mike. We'll have a look at those. And next up, we'll have a look at the fixtures, sort of in the medium term, and then see what we've got through to the end of the season. Spoiler alert, we haven't had the penultimate week's fixtures yet. The Premier League are a week behind with that now, and they haven't come out today, so we might get those next week. Not quite sure what the delay is. There's some rumours abound that Everton v Southampton, the last ever game at Goodison Park, could be a Tuesday night match that week. We shall see. Then we'll have a look at the match centres. So we've got the midweek and last weekend to look through. We'll go through some points for the players and the ownerships. We'll have a look at my team. We've got a couple of questions. And then at the end, we'll have a quick look at the Phase 2. There's a bit more stuff on there now, so we'll have a look at that as well. Evening, Windy. Good to see you. Anybody else in the chat want to drop a question? Please do. Right, let's have a look. So first up is not that. So we should be looking at nope. Let me get this back up again. Sorry, peeps. So can I get this slide up? It's not having it for whatever reason, and I don't know why. Let's get rid of that for now. I'm going to try this now. There we go. So this is the remaining transfer counts. So in the top 100, there is a 9.5. In the top 50, 8.3. And in the top 10, 6.7. And we have, what, half a dozen weeks left? A few more fixtures for some compared to others. So let me see if I can click this down. It's not letting me move that down one. Oh dear, mate. Okay, let's go back. And we'll get rid of that. I'm going to look at. So these are the upcoming games. So from tomorrow, Saturday 12th of April, up to a week on Friday. Or fortnight Friday. Fortnight today. What am I on about? So we can see Arsenal and Aston Villa, Manchester City and Newcastle with 3. Crystal Palace have 4. Everybody else has 2. And we'll have a look in a minute. I'll probably have to move the screen on again to see how those slot in, because as everybody knows with the cloud game, it's not necessarily a case of how many fixtures, it's where they are and when they fit in. But from now till the end of the season, so Palace and Newcastle have 8 fixtures, everybody else has 7. And that Palace v Newcastle game is this upcoming midweek on Wednesday. So I'm going to get rid of that. So I'll put this slide up and it will show us. So this is the actual fixture layout. So we can see Crystal Palace, they're playing Manchester City away tomorrow. Then they play Newcastle away on Wednesday, Bournemouth at home on Saturday. Then a week on Wednesday, they play Arsenal away. There are their 4 fixtures before the FA Cup. They're playing Aston Villa on the Saturday, but you won't see that on the screen here because obviously it's not a Premier League fixture. And then a little more interestingly is Newcastle, because they play this week on Sunday. They've got the Super Sunday game against Manchester United at 4:30. Then they play Crystal Palace, and then they play Aston Villa. And then they got a bit of a break then till they play Ipswich on that FA Cup semi-final weekend at home. So if you are looking to make a move this week, then there's an option maybe to utilise Newcastle rather than Crystal Palace, because you get the opportunity to take away a player that's played on Saturday for somebody then Newcastle that's playing on Sunday, then Wednesday, then Saturday. And if you look at the top, Arsenal are a prime example. They play Brentford on Saturday and then Ipswich the following Sunday. So Newcastle have an immediate 3-0. So if anybody's got a lot of transfers, then that would be a move I'd be looking to make maybe. If you've got Saliba, you could get a Newcastle defender in for 3 games. Then maybe you've got another defender you want to move back to Arsenal for the Sunday visit to Ipswich. It's a shame that we haven't got the Game Week 40 fixtures yet at the end of May, because looking ahead, you can see we've got some single game days coming up. So this week we've got Monday Night Football, which is Bournemouth v Fulham. Then the aforementioned Newcastle v Crystal Palace. And then a week on Monday, we have Tottenham v Nottingham Forest. And then on the Tuesday, it's Manchester City against Aston Villa. On the Wednesday, it's Arsenal against Crystal Palace. Then the following Wednesday, is Brentford against Nottingham Forest. And then Friday, 2nd of May, we've got Manchester City again hosting Wolves. Then on Bank Holiday Monday, it is Crystal Palace hosting Nottingham Forest. And I think I've missed one there somewhere. Oh no, there it is. It's Nottingham Forest v Brentford. So I was looking for Brentford there on Wednesday the 30th. That could be an opportunity to move in someone like Mbeumo or Wissa, because they play Nottingham Forest, Manchester United, Ipswich, Fulham and Wolves, and they're going to have a 5-4 over a lot of teams. And if you include the single game day part of it, it could be a 6-4 with captaincy if you want to go that way. Or you could look at Nottingham Forest on that day. They then play Brentford, single game day, visit Crystal Palace, host Leicester, which is not single game day, but it's the day that Liverpool play Arsenal. So Nottingham Forest could be a decent captaincy shout that day, you'd think. Then they visit West Ham and finish the season at home to Chelsea. It's a shame, as I say, that we haven't got those the penultimate weekend's fixtures, because we've been able to work out some maybe more intricate moves towards the end of the season. So it looks like, for now, we're just playing this next mini fortnight, and then hopefully by the time we get to the end of that, you'll be looking to make your plans for the rest of the season, maybe. So let's move away from that, and we'll have a look at the match centres. So this is from sort of the double game week, last midweek, and this weekend just gone. 2 ticks. So the first match was Arsenal v Fulham. Arsenal 2, Fulham 1. Goal scorers were Marino and Saka off the bench for Arsenal, and Muniz for Fulham right at the end. And we'll just have a look through the 3 bonus point players. So in that game, there were none whatsoever. So the same day was Wolves 1, West Ham 0. Goal scorers Strand Larsen for Wolves, and Tier 3 players were Manetzi with tackles for Wolves, and then Paquetá and Wan-Bissaka with tackles for West Ham. Then the 8 o'clock game that day was Nottingham Forest 1, Manchester United 0. Goal scorer was Elanga with his run from the halfway line. Tier 3 points for Sells in goal for Nottingham Forest with saves, and Williams with tackles. And for Manchester United, we had Masraoui with tackles and Yoro with passes. And then on the Wednesday, Bournemouth 1, Ipswich 2. Goal scorers were Evan Nielsen for Bournemouth, and then for Ipswich, Broadhead and Delap. Tier 3s for Scott with shots for Bournemouth, and Palmer with saves for Ipswich. Brighton 0, Aston Villa 3. Goal scorers were Rashford, Asensio and Marlon. Tier 3 bonuses for Ayari with tackles for Brighton, and Dean and Rogers with tackles for Villa. Manchester City 2, Leicester 0. Goal scorers were Grealish and Marmoush. Tier 3s, lots in the passes for Manchester City. We had Gvardiol, Diaz, Nunez and Gundogan all with tier 3, and Marmoush with tier 3 shots. Newcastle 2, Brentford 1. Goal scorers were Isak and Tonali for Newcastle, and Mbeumo for Brentford. Tier 3s, only one was Trippier with 8 tackles for his tier 3. Southampton 1, Palace 1. Goal scorers were Onuachu and Franca, and the only tier 3 was Gehi with passes, 82 passes for a tier 3. Liverpool 1, Everton 0. Goal scorer was Jota. Only tier 3s was Decore with tackles for Everton. Chelsea 1, Tottenham 0 was the Thursday night game. Goal scorers Fernandes for Chelsea, and no tier 3s at all. So then we move on to the weekend just gone. Early kickoff was Everton 1, Arsenal 1. Goal scorers were Undai for Everton with the penalty, equalising Trossard's first half opener, and no tier 3s anywhere to be seen. Crystal Palace 2, Brighton 1, the M23 derby. So goal scorers for Palace were Mateta and Munoz. What a player Munoz has been. And for Brighton was Welbeck. Tier 3s were Kamada with tackles for Palace. Passes for Dunk and Van Heck for Brighton, and tackles for O'Reilly. Van Heck yellow carded and red carded, so he's banned this weekend, won't be playing. Ipswich 1, Wolves 2. Goal scorers were Delap for Ipswich, and Sarabia and Strand Larsen for Wolves. No tier 3s at all. West Ham 2, Bournemouth 2. Goal scorers were Fulkrug and Bowen for West Ham, and an Evan Nielsen brace for Bournemouth. Only tier 3 was Kirkes with the tackles. Aston Villa 2, Nottingham Forest 1. This was the Saturday night game. Goal scorers for Villa were Rogers and Marlon, and the goal scorer for Forest was Jota Silva. Tier 3s, Sells with the saves and Dominguez with the tackles for Forest. That was it. Brentford 0, Chelsea 0, Sunday early game. No goal scorers, obviously. Flecken with saves. And in the tackles, Norgard and Damsgaard, both for Brentford. Fulham 3, Liverpool 2. Goal scorers for Fulham were Sessegnon, Iwobi and Muniz, all in the first half. For Liverpool was McAllister and Diaz. Tier 3s, Castagna with the tackles for Fulham, and Iwobi with the shots. Nothing at all for Liverpool. Spurs 3, Southampton 1. Goal scorers for Tottenham were Brennan Johnson with a brace, and Tell. For Southampton it was Mateus Fernandes. Tier 3s, Ramsdale with the saves, and Walker-Peters and Fernandes with the tackles. The Super Sunday, Boarfest. Manchester United 0, Manchester City 0 in the derby. Obviously no goal scorers again. Tier 3's Onana with the saves with 6, Casemiro with 11 tackles for Manchester City, Kovacic and Silva with the tackles, and Diaz with the passes, Marmoush with the shots. And then Monday night football, Leicester 0, Newcastle 3. This was all over by, well, just before half time really. Maybe even after Murphy scored the second. So goal scorers, Murphy with a brace and Barnes. Tier 3's we had Samare with the passes for Leicester and Bruno Guimaraes with the tackles for Newcastle. And that was it. So I'll have a look at the league table, see how everybody's getting on. So still top of the shop is Mark McFadden. He's got 2,960 points, 188 for the game week. Well done, Mark. Second place we have Shane White with Wexco United, 2,950. Neil Fleeson, a great week, Neil, 194 points up to third, 2,937. Then rounding out the top 10 we have Mark Hawes, JRZ, Colin McLennan, Mark Williamson, Adrian Gage, Mark Berry and Andrew McGill. Well done everybody there. We'll have a look at who scored the most for the game week. So Julian Wardle, Evelyn Julian, 200 points for the game week, well done, takes you up to 12th. Elliot Mann, 199, takes you up to 15th. Andy Potter, 199 as well, takes you up to 48th. Then the next in the top 10 for game week scores were Mark Rose, Alan Morton, Neil Fleeson, yeah, takes him up to 3rd as previously mentioned. Dominic Moran, Ben Howe, Mark McFadden and Ronnie Day. Well done everybody. And we'll have a look at the points while we're on here. So these are the overall points. Mo Salah still sitting at the top, 300 now he's reached. Erling Haaland still in second, but 218, so nearly 100 points behind. Cole Palmer, 202, so only 3 players over 200. Then we have Isak, 199. Bruno Fernandes, 194. Brian Mbeumo, 194. Virgil van Dijk, 189. Chris Wood, 186. Reports are that Chris Wood is going to be back in the Nottingham Forest side tomorrow. So looking ahead to those 2 single game days we had a look at, maybe he is back on the radar. Matt Sells, 179. Munoz, as previously mentioned, also 179. Gvardiol, 178. Saliba, 176. Trent, 171. Not sure when we're going to see him again. Looks like Bradley's going to be starting at right back for Liverpool tomorrow. Ollie Watkins, 171, seems to have lost his starting place to Marcus Rashford now. Rashford played the PSG game in midweek. We expect Watkins will probably start against Southampton tomorrow in what looks to be a rotated team. Cliver, 164. Will he be back for the single game day on Monday? Iriola, the manager, I think he said there's 3 players who are on the way back, and Cliver wasn't mentioned as the one who was least likely. Can't remember the chap's name, but he was the left winger that came from Leeds. Sinistera, he was the one that was considered to be the least likely to return. Mateus Cunha, next up, 162. He should return this week, but Strand Larsen has been playing well in his stead, so maybe Cunha will have to make do with a place on the bench. Wolves have improved of late. They play a anticipated change Spurs side on Sunday, so we'll see how they go. Milenkovic is next at Wisser, 159, Milenkovic, 156, alongside Jarrod Bowen, and then Gabriel won't be seen for the rest of the season at 155. And we'll have a look at bonus points. So top of the shop is Virgil van Dijk still, 64. Bruno Fernandes, 61. Mateo Kovacic, 61. Saliba, 57. And several on 54, Van Heck, Flecken, Gvardiol and Thomas Partey. 53s for Casido, Salah, all of those on shots for Salah. Colwell 52, Haaland 52, again all shots. Munoz 50, been a revelation. Diaz 49, looks like he's back in the City side and there to stay now. Tielemans, he's played every minute for Villa in the league, 49. Mazraoui 47. Drissa Gay 46. Ramsdale 45 alongside Semenyo, and Calvin Bassey 44. We're going to have a look at some ownerships as well. Had a question on this from Neil. Could we break down the ownerships by sort of top 100 or similar? We can't at the minute on phase 1, but we will be able to on phase 2. We'll have a look at that at the end of the show, just see some of the stats that have been put together now for the players, and we'll be able to show you where that's going to fit in. So overall ownership at the minute, Cole Palmer 70%, Mo Salah 65, Alexander Isak 62, then nobody else above 50 now. Daniel Munoz 45, William Saliba 40 all but, Bruno Fernandes 34, Dean Henderson still there in a third of teams, 33%. He could have been a set and forget from the start of the season, really. Erling Haaland 30%. So Neil's question was really about could you tell at the top of the leaderboard on the percentages how many are sort of active and not. So you can see there's at least 30% of people that have got dead teams, because Erling Haaland is not going to play probably for the rest of the season, but at least until sort of the last stages of it anyway. Jared Bowen there in 30%, Gvardiol in 30%. Eze, I've quite fancy him this 4 games. If you've got a slot spare, Eze at 3.9 million. He is one that is likely to play in the 4 games, you would think, unless there's mass rotation for the Arsenal fixture, because they play Wednesday against Arsenal, and then the Cup semi-final against Villa on Saturday. That's not the upcoming week, the following week. So, but I think in the 3 weeks coming, he could be a player to have. Kluivert 27%. Will he make it Monday? We shall see. Marmouche 23%, and Buemo 19%. I think that will go up as we get nearer the end of the season, especially with that single game day with Forest and their easy-ish fixtures towards the end of the season. Gabriel in 17, Saka in 17, Bruno G 17. Then we have David Raya, Virgil van Dijk and Anthony Robinson, all at 15%, rounding out the 20. Okay, so let's have a quick look here at my team. Now I'm going to move to the planner sheet and see what we're looking at for this week. So this is my team for last week. So Sells in goal, Robinson, Saliba and Munoz. In midfield, Palmer, Foden, Kluivert and Bowen. Foden's been a nightmare. But he looks like he's going to get stay of execution till probably the Villa game. We shall see. Salah, Marmouche and Isak up front. And the players that left the side over the last, well, that'll be a two-week period, but over the last game week was Fernandes, Haaland and Semenyo. And sees my rank currently at 98th. So not pulling up any trees, but at least it's down to inside the top 100. So if I can just get rid of that now. Take that away, and then hopefully we should be able to see my team up there with this week's fixtures. And here we are. So as you see, Sells in goal, Isak, Saliba, Robinson, Kluivert, Palmer, Foden, Marmoush, Salah, Munoz and Bowen. And if you look at the right hand side of the screen, we can see Saka poking his head in there as replacement for Bowen maybe on Sunday week. And the reason being is that Arsenal play, as previously advertised, away to Ipswich, by which time Bowen will have played Liverpool this week and Southampton next week. The other option is to move on Foden, and I could do that, but he does have a possible fixture there against Aston Villa. And then the other moves, so that's going to leave him with 5. And then I think the other moves will be upside chasing picks, probably moving some of the forward players around. I do like the idea of Mbeumo from this fixture. So it could be that Salah, if Liverpool have won the league by then, I don't think they can now, to be honest. But then they've got difficult fixtures: Chelsea, Arsenal, Brighton and Palace. Could be that Marmoush, but they've got single game day there against Villa. It could be that we move Isak on after the Ipswich game, because they finish away to Brighton, at home to Chelsea, away to Arsenal, home to Everton. We just need to know when these other fixtures are going to be played. I have a feeling that Arsenal against Newcastle is going to be a Monday night fixture that week, but remains to be seen. So a couple of questions we had in. Question of Neil, we've sort of discussed, and I'll show the stats on phase 2. And then we also had one off John, who I can see is in the chat. Evening, John. Also, David's in. Evening, David. So, John's question, I'm just going to get it up on phone so I can quote it sort of verbatim. So, for Monday Night Football, if you only have Kluivert and he isn't in the Bournemouth squad, is the game a skip? I do have Van Heck. Switch to Robinson as they are a similar price. So, if we get to Monday, Bournemouth v Fulham, and Kluivert isn't in the side, I'm in the lucky position I do have Robinson. Now, whether I would be bringing him in or not is probably a different question. I think at this stage of the season, you want to be bringing either players that are going to have good upside for potential captaincy, especially if you've only got one. So if Kluivert's not playing, I think probably the most upside player for Monday would maybe be Evan Nielsen, or someone that's going to stay in your team for the rest of the season. So if you don't have, so you've got Van Heck, who he's not going to play the Leicester game, and then they play Brentford, West Ham, Newcastle, Wolves, Liverpool and Tottenham. So it doesn't look the best, in all honesty. Or you could have Fulham. So you've got Bournemouth, Chelsea, Southampton, Villa, Everton, Brentford and Man City. It looks very similar. Or the other option could be to go for someone like Kirkes, maybe. Fulham, Palace, Manchester United, Arsenal, Villa, Manchester City and Leicester. Again, a mixed bag at best. So I think if I was in those shoes, depends on transfers. If I was on a similar number of transfers as me, which is now down to 6, I think I would probably be giving it a skip and seeing if I can utilise it somewhere else. Would be my take. We could get, let's have a look here. So we look at Brentford at the end of the season. Those 5 could be a move there to utilise one of your transfers, maybe. Is there anybody else that's got good stuff coming up at the end? Again, Forest there, maybe. Brentford, Palace, Leicester, West Ham and Chelsea. If they're still going for Champions League, which I think they will be, would a Forest defender in those 5 games with a possible captaincy against Brentford, would that be a better bet than having Robinson against Bournemouth. I mean, Fulham are, I think they're about 20% for a clean sheet. Bournemouth haven't been great lately. Fulham did play very well against Liverpool, but it wouldn't surprise you if Bournemouth scored. It wouldn't surprise you if Bournemouth won. I think probably the most likely score, if you had a look on the odds checker, probably the most likely score is something like 2-1 to Bournemouth, maybe. So no, in answer to your question, John, I don't think I'd be bringing Robinson in. If I had transfers, I'd be looking to make a positive move, and it'd probably be Evan Nielsen. If I didn't have enough transfers, it'd probably be a skip. So let's have a look at fixtures for this week and a few predictions, and then we'll have a quick look on phase 2 at the stats page. So first up in Saturday, Manchester City against Crystal Palace. Manchester City, they were poor against Manchester United, but it was just the way the game went. Palace, I think they might fancy the chances. They're a bit done over at the back, I think. Gahey's suspended. I think Lacroix could have a little suspension. Could have a concussion protocol to go through. I'm going to go. I think City might win. I don't think it's going to be a great game. I'm going to be a 2-1. Brighton against Leicester. Leicester haven't scored in something like 8 weeks. They were terrible against Newcastle. I think Brighton, they could probably put out the second string and beat this Leicester side, to be honest. I'm going to go for a 2-0 win. I don't think Leicester will get on the score sheet. Nottingham Forest against Everton. I think a chance to get back on the horse for Forest after the defeat at Villa on Saturday. I'm going to go for a 1-0 win to Forest. If Chris Wood's back, it wouldn't surprise me to see him score. Southampton against Aston Villa. Aston Villa, they were sort of in the game against PSG, and then that third goal at the end, has that killed the tie? They only need to win by 2 goals at home, but PSG look good. It's a Wednesday, Saturday, Tuesday turnaround for Villa. I think there'll be many changes. It wouldn't surprise me if Southampton could take a point off them, to be honest. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. Arsenal against Brentford. I think Arsenal will be mainly changed as well. They played really well against Madrid to win 3-0. I think there'll be lots of changes. I think Brentford will score, but I think Arsenal will score as well. I think that could be 1-1 as well. If I was going to pick a winner, I'd probably go for Arsenal, but I think they're resigned to not winning the league. They're already in the Champions League for next year, so I think they'll be looking ahead to Wednesday. Sunday games, Liverpool against West Ham. Mo Salah signed his contract extension today. Well, it was announced today. So I think he could be back on the horse on Sunday. I think West Ham will score. Liverpool, they need to get back to winning ways. I think it might be closer than people think. I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to Liverpool. Chelsea against Ipswich. So Chelsea won 3-0 away in Leipzig on yesterday, Thursday. So they play Ipswich at home, and then they play Leipzig to reach the semi-finals of the Conference League, which I think they probably will. I expect they'll get the better of Ipswich here. Ipswich have been scoring the odd goal. Yeah, 2-1 to Chelsea. So Tottenham are next up. They play Wolves away. Tottenham were also in action Thursday. They drew 1-1 against Eintracht Frankfurt. They need to go to Germany for the second leg next week. I think they'll be mainly changed as well. Wolves have got on a bit of a roll. It wouldn't surprise me to see them win. I'm going to go for a surprise with Wolves to keep a clean sheet and a 1-0 win. Newcastle against Manchester United on Sunday, Super Sunday. Newcastle, again, Manchester United, they were playing Lyon in the Europa League on Thursday, a 2-2 draw. They've got the second leg to come. I think Newcastle again, home advantage. I think they'll have enough. 2-0, Manchester United not to score. Monday Night Football, as previously mentioned, I think it'll be 2-1 to Bournemouth. If Clivert plays, great. If he doesn't, I've got Robinson. But as mentioned in answer to John's question, I don't think I'd be bringing anybody in unless it was an attacking move, and the attacking move would probably be Evan Nielsen. And then we finish this week on Wednesday, Newcastle against Crystal Palace. It's a half 7 kickoff to get in ahead of the Real Madrid Arsenal game. Newcastle, I think, will win, and I'm going to go for. I'll go for a 2-1 win. Isak to score, and I'll go for Eze to score as well. I think Isak. Murphy, for anybody that brought him in, did fantastically last week. Can he keep it up? Maybe. It's only 2.9, I think. I did have a look at a move where I could bring Murphy in, but it didn't. It left me on 50.1 to bring Saka in, which I'm hopeful of doing next Sunday. So John's just there put in the chat. Yeah, initial view was also a skip. Yep, I think it probably would be. So just before we disappear, let me see if I can get up this. So this is from phase 2, and it's just to show. I'm going to have a look on just one player here. It's Mo Salah. So this is the stats page now, and it's very similar to what used to be on Sky. So you can see you've got a player at the top. Club, positions, picture of him, value, and then these are the bits I was in answer to Neil's question. We've got selected by, so this will be a percentage of number of teams, number of points he scored at the top right, average points, so that must be points per game. 41 points per game, that sounds a lot, but maybe this is picking up stuff from a more recent time. And then this is where we'll be able to see in the top 100 teams, and this will be a percentage as well. So this will be like a live update. Now you can drag your scroll bar back here. So you can see from the first week's 13 points, and you can see you've got the dates of the games, how many points underneath, and then the team they were playing against. And if you click on that, so we're looking here at the second game, Liverpool against Brentford, then brings you up those details for that particular game. So you can see the height of the blue bar is sort of how well he's done. So 9, not quite as high as 14, but a lot higher than 4. And then you can see here the score, and then the starting 11, so 2 points for that. For shots, tier 2 was 2 points for that. And then 5 points for a goal, made 9 in total. So 5 winners were good a lot. So 17 points here. This was against Newcastle in a 3-3 draw. So you're starting 11, shots tier, goals and assists. So 21 points here. So you've got 2, 3, 10 and 6. And then 15, so you've got 2, 3 and 10. So whichever game you click on, it'll just show you exactly what they've scored in that game. And then the default view, so we click on Parma, it gives you here sort of the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games, the number of points. You can see the sort of the crest of the opposition, the date of the game, the points, then the height of the blue bar there is sort of how well I've done in comparison. Right, we shall leave it there, everybody. If I can just put this back to where we were, which I probably can't. There we go. Yeah, so thanks very much for watching Friday Night Live. We'll be back again next Friday, looking ahead to game week 36, which will be the second part of the doubles, with 3 teams doubling next week. 6 teams doubling, 3 sets of fixtures. Or is it only? No, it might be. It was 6 altogether, so we had 2 this week and then 4 next week. So enjoy the football. If you enjoyed the video, please leave it a like. If you want to subscribe to the channel, please do. If you want to use the transfer planners that I've used in the show, then you can find that over on Patreon, patreon.com/Cloudy Sky Fantasy Football Show. Enjoy the football. Enjoy the Masters for anybody that's been watching that. Justin Rose yesterday. I did notice somebody tipped him up at 100-1 to be leader after round 1. Shame I didn't get a bet on that. So enjoy your weekend, everybody, and we'll see you next week. Cheers. Bye for now. Ta-da.